Okay, here we go into part two on this, showing that there's a strange way that this man tries to get you to believe that Plato said the Greeks were black. Now, the strange thing is you've got to whip it through a few different things. For the Greeks said that they were the same people of the ancient North Africans. And we do know that there were ancient North Africans that were Caucasians through there, along with the Phoenicians that ended up having Carthage and other cities across there, and of course leading to the Hannibal and the Alps and all of that. But of course that's tried to be made into something different nowadays because they can't handle, they didn't know North Africa doesn't exist, or that they knew that it even existed, put it that way. But the big thing here is that also the Greeks called these people berbers. And the ancient berbers, which is a bad word name after them, kind of saying they were barbaric in a way, but the Greeks did not really intend on that to be turned into like Conan the Barbarian and all the things we have nowadays, because it was just given to an appellation that they gave to anybody that didn't learn Greek to correspond with them. And so they said they were berbers. Now we have to flip that through another layer of stupid and say, well, they were the people of Mauritius and Mauritania, and known as the Mauri. And now here's the leap of dumb. And we all know the Moors were West Sub-Saharan primitives, right? Well, no, that's not true at all. We'll show you here in a minute the remnants of these people and some other showings, but let's just get into this and let him go whole hog here as he tries to put it together. And he keeps showing the Shriners with the Fez hats that are famous for Fez, a place in Mauritania. And he always wants to say white superiority during that, and just after he tries to call it social racism and all these things. Watch this.
According to the Oxford's Byzantine Dictionary, they acknowledge that the word Mauri is not only another word for barbarian, but that the Mauri are indeed the Moors. This completely contradicts the force-fed position of institutional racism, as they say the Moors started in 711 AD as a
So, and let him say this, mixed people.
Mixed group of people.
Okay, now let's get into it here with the other picture showing up behind it. Moor in English usage of Morocco, formerly a member of the Muslim population, so they're not black, of Al-Andalus, now Spain and Portugal, of mixed Arab, Spanish, and Amazigh Berber origins of the Moors, created the Islamic Andalusian civilization. Funny, there's no mention of black people whatsoever, and the subsequent settled as refugees in the Maghreb in the region of North Africa between the 11th and 17th century, by extension corresponding to the Spanish Moro, a term occasionally denotes any Muslim in general, as in the case of the Moors of Sri Lanka or the Moors of Philippines today. The term Moor is used today to designate a predominant Arab Amazigh ethnic group in Mauritania, which makes up more than 2/3 of the country's population, and the small Arab Amazigh minority that's still retained in Mali. Let's take a look at these people that we're talking about and the remnants left of them, and see if we can make any discernation that he has any truth in what he tries to say. What I put in here is Amazigh Berber beauty contest. You follow me? Because they have a beauty contest that they hold there apparently every year and stuff, and we can see what these people look like, and a lot of them still have blue eyes. So yeah, there's a connection there. But then there's also all of these women. You can see the one on the left is still blonde. And there's some redheads mixed in here too. But they're definitely all Caucasians, right? And let's shrink this up and take a look at a couple more of them here just so we can get a good feeling for what's going on here. Now, there might be some Arab influx, and just slightly, but I think we can tell that if these girls weren't wearing these bangled headbands and things like that, that they easily could be discerned as being someone quite else. I notice the girl on the left is slightly tanner than the real pale girl on the right. We're still not confused of them ever being anything but Caucasians, though. She's got green eyes on the right. Whoops, she does on the left, too. Let's take a look at a few more of them, just so we're certain of who we're talking about. I mean, from children to all kinds of people. Who is this girl? She's one that won the princess contest in 2021. That's amazing. Those Amazigh people. You know, by the way, it also has to do with Amazons. Because as the story goes, the Amazons, well, they're great warriors and all that, but if you pick it apart in mythology, you'll realize that these women of in these places, like here and the Proto-Indo-Europeans that we're talking about, didn't just, there's a little red-headed girl with green eyes, this Amazigh, Berber, right there. But the Amazigh people, their women wouldn't just cower and just go with just anybody or do anything like that. And they fought back. Therefore, it left them pretty much untouched. Kebele, the Berber. So it's these people, endemic to North Africa, been there the whole time. Oh, I've heard all kinds of excuses from that's the Barbary close slave trade to all kinds of things. But in reality, archaeology all points to these people as the ones that they're talking about. And I don't know if you can tell it or not, but I don't think they're West Sub-Saharans.
Group of
So this mixed group of people was a mixture of ancient Caucasian Berbers or Amazigh, Arab Amazigh people that lived there that it talks about here, and the Arabs that came in with Islam and such, and the Muslims that came in together. There's no black people involved in this in any way until much later, and then they were castrated eunuchs used to fight for them. But you'll also hear blacks complain and say that no, they were actually the real Muslims, that they were the real people of the Bible, that they were the real Egyptians, that they were the real everywhere. And I think with the plethora of we was everybody that we can see, what they're really trying to do is avoid the fact of who they really are and make up some lie. It's really disgusting because it's in actual history and so on. And of course, because I'm a researcher, I can't stand this type of thing because even a school kid can go very easily nowadays and wiki something up and see what it says. And you would have to go with the stupid idea that the whole world is a conspiracy against you because you used to be the smart people. Let's continue.
People, but the Greek historians say differently. Since the barbarians are confirmed by the Greeks to be the Moors, and there's no source for barbarian that predates the Greek word barbarian.
No, it's a Greek word, and it means they are people that didn't speak Greek. During the time, it was the lingua franca of everyone. Hey, check a look at the maps that he's willing to show here where it shows they didn't even know Sub-Saharan Africa existed on any of them. And Egypt used to be called Libya before it was called Africa, like in the bottom right-hand corner. But lo and behold, who named it Africa? It was endemic Caucasians that named it. It's well known. That just starts to destroy their whole little thing there, but let them keep going. He's trying to get you to prove that more meant West Sub-Saharan Bantu people.
This not only proves that the Greeks created the word barbarian, but proves also that the barbarians of ancient Greece, as stated by Plato and Strabo, were in fact the Moors.
You know what's odd about that statement there is that much like the Ethiopians of ancient time, which I just did a recent video about with Lu, Fortress of Lu, where he shows that in its origins it was people that are in the rising and the setting of sun, and it's mythological and all kinds of stuff, and it's been conflated over time. But there are a whole lot of people that were referred to as barbarians from all over stretches of the earth because, again, what was the reasoning? Well, they wouldn't speak Greek. That's truly what this means. And you know, the Berber idea is where we also get the idea of barbers from, like the Barbary slave trade and the Barbary coast. But barbers are the ancient medicine men along with the people that would shave you, and then they have beards. And funny thing is that in that Barbary slave trade, there was a man that was known as Barbarossa. Oh, well, I've heard of that from the Black Pearl and the Pirates of the Caribbean and all that, right? Yeah, Barbarossa. If you take it linguistically, Barber and Rose. This is Redbeard. Yeah. So who are we talking about here and all this stuff? Oh, well, we're surely not talking about sub-Saharan primitives. I mean, what are you trying to pull here? Oh, it's another one of the We Was games, where we're working it down to where there's only Eskimos left, and that's about it. Because we've already claimed Amerindians and South American Olmecs, King James, Shakespeare, the people of the Bible, the Sumerians, anybody that's attached to anybody there, the people that started China, the people that were in Egypt, of course, but then also the Nubians too, but then also the people that live in Ethiopia today, all of which are not even related to them whatsoever, and they keep going around trying to claim anybody darker than a sheet of paper. And if they can't, they'll just make it up. They'll go, see, I go through 5 phases of stupid here to end up telling you that the Greeks were black somehow.
Let me explain. On one hand, Strabo verifies that Greece was a Moorish territory before the Greeks' existence, and that the Greeks were descendants of the Moors who were living in Greece before the time of Greece.
This kind of goes with the Atlantis idea that these people that were there and more close to the Pillars of Hercules came in and almost took everybody over in the whole area. But of course, this relates to the collapse of the Bronze Age and how that all happened too. And again, none of this has anything to do with black people, but look at this picture he tries to pass off as Strabo.
And on the other hand, Plato also verifies the Greeks descended from the first people of Greece, just as Strabo does. In fact, they both state the Greeks' ancestors are no one other than the barbarians, i.e., that's right, the Moors.
Well, no, you're trying to flip it around the other way. They're saying that before the Moors were the Moors or any of the things that we know of, these used to be the same people. Of course, they got ran over by Islam and so on else, and they make sure that they let you know that those weren't the same people, but none of them were black. And then he shows 2 Bantus back to back here and showing a Moorish flag and an American flag, and don't you want to believe we was Moors. And now he's going to show some pottery that's done out of 2 different colors, and because the people are a dark color, he's going to try to get you to believe, see?
Thus, the Greeks are irrefutably Moors. And anyone who would dare argue that the Greeks didn't know their own ancestral history and who their ancestors were can kick rocks.
Yes, blacks can kick rocks. That they know their ancestry and they don't want to look it up. They want to search out someplace else and try to attach themselves to some other advanced civilization and not themselves. Look at these pictures they try to portray here as possibly the ancient Greek Gnostics that we all know that brought us some of our modern things, and he's telling you, no, we was that, as opposed to being hand raised right now into a world they had no part in by Caucasians, but they have no respect for. In fact, look, they have no respect for anybody. They're just going to start claiming whoever they feel like, and if I can get some clout, Well, sadly, everybody in the world's watching you make a clown on yourself on the world stage, and it's past disgusting, but you can't stop. Can you? The two in the bottom are Eratosthenes. This is the guy that found the size of the earth, and the guy on the right is Herod the Great. Oh yeah, it gets worse.
Because the barbarians, according to the Greeks themselves, were the people of the land now called Morocco.
Who were Caucasians, and there's still a good remnant that I was just showing you.
And according to the Greeks, those people in Morocco, which they called barbarians, called themselves Mauri. And Mauri, according to the Byzantine Oxford Dictionary, without a doubt means Moor. So wouldn't this mean that the Moors existed before 711 AD? Wouldn't this mean that the Moors were a nation of people? The Greeks later called these Moors Maurutian, and Morocco at that time was called Mauritania.
And sub-Saharan Africa, if you look at Herodotus's map and the people that he's referring to, they don't even know it exists. And in turn, the people of sub-Saharan Africa didn't know the world existed. But we keep hearing this junk, don't we? Oh, we were the Moors. Well, this has been blown out of the water long ago. And he would know this too. He would know it. But yet he's still trying to put a presentation together that he thinks is maybe a little better than the other guys. Or it sure might get people to misbelieve something and start believing, no, though, you were never the slaves or anything. You were the Caucasian Moors with blue eyes and blonde and red hair and Caucasians. That was you, right?
According to the people who lived during that time.
The Romans called themselves Moors whenever they were in the territory too, but he doesn't talk about that.
So now that we know the Greeks are in fact family, not colonists, but in fact family of the same lineage we are, let's listen to what our Moorish brothers and sisters had to say about us Moors living here in Amorica.
Living in Amorica. Oh, he's going to try to pull that we was Americans.
Let's listen to our family, not our enemies. They will always lie to us because that is the only trick they have.
Blacks will only try to point at other people and say we instead of themselves, and it's become the only trick they have. And it's real self-exposing.
It's time to wake up and smell the Moors, family. Remember to like and subscribe. But in closing, if the Greeks and everyone
were Aryans at the time, and it's stated well out, then what does that make you? And if these black people on the pottery all have red beards and red hair, what does that mean to a far west sub-Saharan that didn't know the world existed? Well, to him it means we was the Greeks. Let me know what you think down below here, but yeah, it doesn't end. You think it's just Cleopatra, who was a Macedonian Greek? You see how that goes together now? Oh boy, we was Egyptians. Oh, that's a given. Which no, it's not. I've got videos about it. It shows you. And genetics now and everything else showing you who they were. And it's not just they weren't black people, but what kind of Caucasians were running it through the pre-dynastic, through the pyramid times and so on, and any time that's in question. It starts to get odd too whenever white people who read this and see it a lot of times go, hold on, I never put that together, or I was led to believe this, that, and the other, maybe. But it wasn't black people, of course, but what? Yeah, it's kind of what my channel's about, is showing you things. And lately it's been about this because, hey, shots fired. We was Cleopatra, we was this, we was that. Shots fired, huh? Okay, well, let me grab my shotgun and a few others here and go to town just a little bit and fire back. Peace.